This is a new tool we're putting in service on all the engines and all the med units. It's called the Rex tool. It's similar to the old tool we have, the K tool. This tool gives us more options, and it's a little more intuitive to use. It has all the same tools that come with the K tool, different tools to manipulate the lock, and a shove knife. And we'll demonstrate with these props I made how to use this tool and how we can use it on deadbolts on the residential home, and we can use it on storefront glass doors to pull the lock cylinder, and I'll show you how to manipulate the lock from there. So I want to cover one more thing on these tools. They come with these different key tools to manipulate the locking cylinder, the locking device once you pull the lock cylinder. It's important that you guys don't lose these, and you're going to be responsible for them on your rigs. What I have, in case I lose them or in case they're not there, is my modified channel locks. These are the channel lock 420s. If you guys buy a pair and send them to me, I'll modify them for you and send them back out. If you want one for your rig or for your personal gear, I'll do that. So this is a great tool, but without these it's kind of useless. With these, it's very easy to come in and manipulate the locking device, but without it you'll probably just end up resorting back to conventional forcible entry. The next part of this, the guys from Colorado Springs, Irons and Ladders, were nice enough to let me use their video in this. They've already done some time trials on the Rex tool and show some different uses. So we're going to play that now. I just want to say thanks to those guys.
Storefront commercial doors. What we have here is what they call aluminum style doors. They are framed with aluminum, and they also have the aluminum frame for the glass on the actual door. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the videos about how sometimes they'll install Lexan in here, which will prevent us from breaking it. Very commonly, you look around any district in the city and you're going to find bars installed everywhere. As we showed you in our time trial portion of the video, breaking the glass and trying to break out all the bars and these handles can be pretty ineffective. We have a few different options on these. We can go through the lock, which we're going to show you today. We can gap this open a little bit, and we can cut it with a saw. And then we can attempt conventional sometimes if we think we can, if there's a big enough gap here that we think we can spread it and just jimmy it out without breaking the glass. So we have a few different options. What we have here today is we're going to show you through the lock on. These are what the actual lock pieces look like when they're sitting in here in the side of the frame. And you have two different options. You have the the dead latch, and you have the hook latch like this. And what we have in here today is the hook latch, and what that does is when it sits into its keeper on this side, it keeps you from being able to spread it and jimmy it open with any type of conventional tools. So through the lock's a real good option on this one today. If you see up top here, it's got a pretty high security shroud on it. Makes it a little more difficult for us to do than some other cylinders. You can see this cylinder that I'm holding here has got a real weak shroud that's easily crushed and pulled out, whereas this one's just a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and show the motions of pulling this out. We'll do this one in a little bit more slow motion and explain it as we go. What we're going to use as our tool of choice is the Rex bar. Looks similar to the old school tools that were called A tools. It's just a little bit bigger head on it, and it's a much better tool. There's a few companies carrying these in the city, and we're working on possibly getting these out, at least to the trucks. What we want to do with this is have a striking tool with it. You can see the curved end of it is what wants to sit flush on the door when we come up to it. We'll take a look, we'll give it a couple strikes, see if this is going to shed our tool off. If that's so, we might have to damage it a little bit. If not, we may sink right behind it. You want to start in a motion that's aimed just a little bit behind so that you hopefully get a bite behind that shroud. And you can see right there it started to bite. So we're already sinking in. This is definitely a finesse tool, and you don't want to pound it in until it starts damaging the blades. We just want to do a couple good hits like that till it's sunk on there nice and tight. And now what we want to do is a couple different motions. We want to go upwards, and you can see that didn't peel it all the way out, but it did pull our shroud back. We want to go left, right, cylinder comes completely out in 3 motions. Now we take a look inside here, and we're looking at the same picture that I'm showing you here on this outside lock. What we want to do is take our tools. We have modified channel locks. If you have your Rex bar, it'll have a little key tool in here like this. Whatever you decide to use. The biggest thing that sometimes can be confusing is which end of your tool you want to use, the straight end or the angled end. If you pull the cylinder out, the easiest way to do it, if you can't remember which lock is which, is what's on the back. When you look at this one, it has just the cam, so we know we're going to go with the angle. It matches up with it. If you pull a cylinder out and it has a stem on it, that means we're going with the flat piece. So the easiest way to double check yourself is to look at the back of the cylinder you pulled. We're going to come inside now. We can see the spring-loaded pin. It's always going to be away from the lock, so we're going to push in and over to the lock. Go in, push it down, we're in the door.
We're going to demonstrate the Rex tool's use on mortise locks that we'll typically find on glass storefront doors. So typically on fires, your fastest way to gain entry is going to be with conventional forcible entry, using a Halligan and a striking device to gain entry and get around the door. But with the glass storefront doors, we don't want to go up and break them. And if we try to use conventional forcible entry, a lot of times we'll break the glass, and that'll create a flow path, unwanted flow path back to the fire. So we're going to demonstrate pulling this lock, and then we'll show you how to manipulate it. So what we want to do first is we want to come at kind of a steep angle. So we're getting behind the locking device, and this is a finesse tool. So we just want to tap it on until it's set. So we'll have the chief tap us on here. Hit, hit, hit. All right, so now we have a good bite. So we can go side to side, or we can go up. If we go up, it pops right off. And if we look at the back, this one's actually been messed up already, but we can see on these other ones, whatever's on the back, that's what tool we're going to use to gain entry. So with this one, it looks similar to this part of the tool. We're going to come in and we can manipulate the lock, and that'll unlock the door. The Rex tool's used on your standard aluminum frame with a mortise lock. Sometimes getting the K tool on here can be difficult if you don't have space, and it's easy to forget which flat side needs to go a certain direction. With the Rex tool, it's a little more intuitive. Same things come, it's a finesse tool, so you can use it at any angle. I'll have the chief tap me on again here. And you just want to get a good bite on the lock cylinder. So that's good right there. And then I can pry down, up, and it just pops right off. This one gives us a little bit better view of what we're matching up. So this back lock cylinder matches up with this. All we have to do on this is come in, and there's a button you depress, and you can throw the lock. And then you've gained access without breaking the glass and without messing up your flow path. So this is the mortise lock outside of the aluminum housing and the lock cylinder already pulled out. When the key's put in, all your key does is turns this part of the lock right here. I have a similar setup. Here's your key housing, and all it does is turns this back part. So all we need to do is duplicate whatever this piece is doing to manipulate the lock. So with our mortise lock, there's a little button that gets depressed in here, and we just move it away, and that unlocks the lock. So if we come back, now the latch is thrown, depress the button, and move it over, and that's all you have to do to unlock the lock. Now we're going to demonstrate the Rex tool's use on some various rim locks I have set up. This rim lock here is a little more high security and would typically be found with a push bar behind it. And then we have additional rim locks that people add behind their doors. So same concept, pull up, tap this tool behind, and once we pull the lock cylinder, we'll look at what we pull out to find what we need to manipulate the lock. So come up, and we're going to set it behind. And we have to tap it on until it's set. So now that the tool is set, we have a few options. We can come up, and then we can go side to break the lock. So that pops out just like that. And once it's popped out, this one's different than the other one. We can see the stem on the back. So to manipulate this lock, we're going to go through with the flat part, and that'll unlock the door. These other ones are typically found on residential style doors. A lot of times you can come up and peel this metal away, this metal shroud. So if you can, work on peeling it back. If that's not working and it's taking too long, then you can come in with the Rex tool. And this is a good use. So on these, we're going to angle into the door a little bit. Go till it's set behind the lock, and then just keep manipulating it, work up, work down, until the lock pops off. So sometimes you may need to come back and give it another tap, reset it, and just keep working on it. So this one, it's pulling the screws out of the wood on the back. So we can see the screws pulled through the set plate, but it's still the same stem to manipulate the lock. We'll try it again on this bottom one. Come up, set it behind, tap it in till it's set, and then side to side. And that one came off a lot easier. This one, the back looks a little different. So we're going to use this back part to manipulate the lock. And with this lock, we can see that when you turn the key, all it does is move that back part. So we just have to duplicate that motion to unlock the door. So we pulled this lock cylinder out, and it has this stem on it that matches up with the flat part of our tool. Or on the Rex tool, the tool that comes with it is either the back side of this, the flat part, or it may be this long key style tool. I carry these channel locks with me, so we match these up. That means all I have to do is do the same motion with my tool that the lock cylinder did, and we can open the door. So I come in, I set it in, and we can see it manipulating the latch on the back side, and then we'd be into this door. A lot of the lock cylinders are designed with cheap metal, and they're designed to break off so we can't pull the lock cylinder. If that happens, sometimes we'll have other options. Make sure you have your plan B, which may be conventional forcible entry. We still have the option with this one and how it's sheared off to set this here and just drive the lock cylinder through the back. Now just put it, hold on, just put it to the back. So here's an extra little through the lock thing we can use on a lot of the doors we come up to that don't have a deadbolt in place, or we can use it in conjunction with pulling the deadbolt and sliding the bolt over. These quick slat locks are just held in by pressure clips, and we can come around the face and peel the face out of the handle. Sometimes you just have to crush it and work your way around. A lot of times that metal faceplate will pop off. It's fine, just keep working around it, and then you can pop the lock cylinder off. Once you have this off, you can look inside and manipulate the lock, and we see how that unlocks the door right there. The benefit to this is after we do it and we leave, we can secure their house and just put the lock back in, and the door will still lock, and we're on our way on those medical calls.